Hey everyone, so I recently had someone ask me if I had any good vegetarian recipes, and so I thought I would show you a really good, it's a honey stir fry sauce, and you can certainly make it with chicken, or beef or pork or whatever floats your boat, or you can just really load up on vegetables. And I personally forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer this morning, so we are going to do a vegetarian version of this stir fry tonight. So one of the great things about stir fry is that you can use whatever vegetables you like. I like to use at least 2 or 3 just because I think it gives you a good variety. And so some of our favorites, you see I have carrots and mushrooms, broccoli, and then onion. And so to get started with this version, these are really small onions. Again, I'm kind of at the mercy of Instacart right now. So this is what I got. So this is what I'm doing. And so for your onions, you don't want to mince them or anything, really just slice them. And they can be kind of thick slices. And then break them up a little bit, and you're gonna put them in a stir fry in a big pan soon, so you don't have to worry too much about about breaking them up. So there is the first vegetable. And then my second one, I have mushrooms. And again, I'm not very good at measuring, but I'd say if you're doing vegetables only, you're probably looking at like 4 to 6 cups total of vegetables. And again, remember that your mushrooms are going to shrink down a lot as they cook. So that's why I say 4 to 6, because if you're using mushrooms, you're probably going to go more on, the side of 6 cups. And if you're not using mushrooms, maybe closer to 4. Again, if you are using meat, like I usually do this with chicken, maybe 4 cups of vegetables. Or if you have a bigger pot, you can just do all the vegetables you want. In terms of how you cut up your carrots, it's really up to you. I like more thick pieces of carrot because I don't want them to get too mushy. All right, so our vegetables are ready to go. So the great thing about this particular stir fry sauce is that it's really easy. You start with a cup of stock. You can use vegetable stock if you're doing a vegetarian version. This actually is chicken stock just because I had made some chicken stock last night. And so you start with a cup of that, and then about a 1/4 cup of honey. And we get our honey bulk from a local beekeeper, so that's why it's in this jar. Like I said, about a 1/4 cup of that. And then you're gonna do a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Totally eyeballing this, guys. There's a reason why my blog is called Who Needs to Measure, because I certainly do not. And then your next thing is just, I say a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. I'm not a huge fan of So that's why I only do a 1/4 teaspoon, but if you are all into ginger, go for it. And then do a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. If you have fresh garlic, you can do just like 1 or 2 cloves. And then I put in some sesame seeds. And then you just kind of stir it up a little bit. And then the last thing is really just a thickening agent, which is flour. So you just put about 2 tablespoons of flour. Again, mix it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely smooth just because it's going to be cooking over the vegetables. So here's what you do. And then I'm going to meet you in the kitchen. But to get started, you want to kind of get the biggest pan that you have. I don't have a wok or anything. And you put, I am Italian, so I use olive oil for pretty much everything. And just get your pan started with some oil. And you don't want it to be too hot. I'd say like medium high. The goal is for all of the vegetables to be ready at the same time. So you're going to be adding them in order of how long they take to cook, all right? And let them cook a little bit. Again, you do want to keep an eye on this just because you don't want anything to burn. And so the next thing I'm going to add is the mushrooms. And that's because remember that mushrooms, in order to cook, they have to release their liquid a bit and then reabsorb it, so they take a little bit of time. All right, so the mushrooms, I don't know if you can take a look at them, but they're basically almost done. And so now I go ahead and I add my next vegetable. And so in my case, this is going to be the carrots. And I basically just like mix them through. The carrots, I'd say 3 to 5 minutes. And then you go ahead and just add your next vegetable in and mix these up. And so like I said, you can use whatever vegetables you like. But you could also, like I said, you could use zucchini or snap peas. You could even throw in some bok choy or, really whatever your favorites are. You could certainly throw in a few bell peppers. But that's the really great thing about stir fry, is you can make it what you want it to be. I've been letting the broccoli cook probably for another 3 or 5 minutes and just stirring it occasionally. And I like to add the stir fry sauce in, like basically right before all the vegetables are ready. And then you just mix it through and let it come back to a boil. Basically, you'll see it kind of start bubbling, and then let it just cook for, I say, another 3 to 5 minutes. That's kind of my go-to. I never actually time myself. But basically, you want to give it enough time for the vegetables to, kind of soak in all of the flavor. And this is a good time to, finish up. We're actually, while we've been cooking, I've been having rice going in the rice cooker. So that's what we're gonna serve this over. You can also certainly serve it over some stir-fry noodles. You can eat it just as it is. If you're trying to be a little bit more carb conscious, you could do cauliflower rice. But really, whatever floats your boat. And I hope you enjoy it.